Weekend with Bobby and Sean. We're going to watch all the conferences that are on. Do 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 do. Bobby is here and Sean's also here with his breakfast from yesterday.
Your breakfast from yesterday?
I can't do it.
Let's face it, as Nintendo fans, we are often left slightly disappointed and scratching our heads asking why. Where is our Super Mario Galaxy 3? Why isn't Metroid out yet? Bring back the Ice Climber, seriously, and what were you thinking of the Virtual Boy? Well, sit back as Sean Capri and Bobby Pauls do just that. That's right, this is If We Ran Nintendo. Now, cue the music, Maestro.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 64 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest podcast host in all the land, Sean Capri.
Hi, Bobby. How are you, Bobby? It's Nintendo 64 episode.
Yes, I didn't even think about that.
My body is ready.
Yes, my body is ready too.
My body's ready for your body being ready.
Yes, little
To become one.
little inside baseball. We record Sunday.
2 minutes after Sean wakes up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But we record Sunday mornings. So we're way ahead of the Nintendo stuff. So if you're here today thinking like, oh, we're going to hear everything that, you know, their thoughts on E3 and stuff, that's not going to be this episode. We might at some point record a special episode, but if
You would think that we would just record something after and then launch it the next day.
well,
Like, what are we doing here, Bobby?
let's again, full disclosure, we will be recording something for We the Gamercast
That's
later
true.
that night.
That's true.
So that's what I would say is if you really want
Alright.
to know kind of what we're thinking in terms of, we're going to do a live reaction as it plays. It's probably going to be me, you, and Toby recording that. But later that night, I have to go to work like right after that. So later that night, Sean invited me back on We the Gamercast because I did the E3 prediction show. So we're going to kind of go through our predictions and what we thought and all that. So tune into that episode. That would be a better episode, I think, for you guys to listen to.
And what about your predictions from the Geekcast? How is that going to happen?
That I'm not sure because the Geekcast is done.
It's dead. You buried it.
Yeah, no, I might still bring people back next weekend if we can to kind of go over that stuff and you know, the people that were on the episode.
Let me tell you, if Justin is back on, I can't be back on.
Yes, you can.
I don't know what's happening.
Would you stop it?
I like him. I don't think he likes me very much. So you gotta choose.
You know what? You are...
And I'll understand if you choose Madison.
I'll choose you both. I just won't tell you I'm choosing you. I'll be like, Sean, Justin said he can't be on. You gotta come on. And then next thing you know, you'll be like...
And we'll get there, we'll lock eyes. Just Madison, Capri.
Yes.
And it'll be a standoff.
Exactly. Let us kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our...
Geek outs! Yeah, Bobby has some geek outs for us.
Shout outs. Oh, you are such a mess. Yesterday on the Nintendo PlayStation podcast, you wouldn't even say geek outs. You are such a tool bag. And then today you just roll right into it. I knew you were going to do that to me.
It's this show. That's this
you
show.
know what? You're on the show where you could do geek outs and you just didn't do it. It was a very depressing moment for me. I was expecting you to scream right along with me, but you didn't.
I'm sorry. I can't always please you, Bobby.
I know. It's okay. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Joel Brooks. Now, I mentioned him this week on the hosts, but then he tweeted me and was like, apparently he was driving in the car with his kids when that part hit, and I mentioned him, and he's like, oh, my kids started freaking out. They thought it was so cool.
I love it.
So I want to give a shout out to Joel Brooks, but I also want to give a shout out to his kids. And if you guys are listening, your dad is a rock star. Just seriously, the dude is amazing, you know, and you guys are very, very lucky to have him as a dad. So there's that. Another shout out.
Okay.
I wanted to give a shout out to all of our friends that are attending E3 this week. Just want to wish them safe travels as they make their way to E3.
John and Adam,
yeah,
the
so,
Mega Dads.
I have John and Adam, the Mega Dads. I have Josue Ponce from Nintendo Mobile News. Ray Strazdaz, who was a guest on
Nice.
YouTuber. Amiibo Jason and Happily Candied from Nintendo Wire.
Brock McLaughlin from Brockstar Gaming.
Is Brock going?
Yep, he's
That
there.
is awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
And then
Tattoos and all.
Alan Plummer. From
Get out of here! I didn't know that.
Alan's going. I think Joey Ferris is going as well. But I'm not 100%.
What's up, guys?
I'm
That's
not
awesome.
I know Alan's going because he's been posting stuff on Facebook, and I guess he's taking the bus out and stuff. So
that's sweet.
It's really cool. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple people, and if I am, I apologize. But it's just cool to to see these guys going and stuff. It was always a dream of mine to go to E3. I don't know that I want to go to E3 anymore.
Yeah, I was saying the same to John, which is weird because they're going and I'm like, good. Like, I hope you do well with the crowds and well,
it's not even.
I'm so old.
It's
I'm
not.
just so old.
It's not the crowds. It's not the crowds that really
Oh,
bother
that's
me.
good.
It's the fact of you're not getting the news as it's hitting. You know what I mean?
This has turned that very nice shout out so awful. I feel bad.
It's not. I just don't. I just think about it and I go, what I would rather go to is something like a PAX East or something like that, where I can actually go in and enjoy because they're not announcing a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. So you're actually getting to go in, check out the games, check out the crowd. The crowds are the crowds, but enjoy yourself. But you're not getting all these news items coming out, and you're on the floor and you don't even know what's happening. They're fortunate they're going to the Microsoft conference, or no, they're going to Bethesda, right?
Who?
The Megadads.
I think that they might have actually arranged something special with Nintendo as well.
Oh, okay.
I think they've got some sort of behind the scenes or I think they've got some game time scheduled. Now, I want to backpedal a little bit. I wanted to take this foot right out of my mouth and say that I've been to Comic-Con twice in New York and once in San Diego, and I'm not even a big comic fan.
Yeah.
So, I'm not there for the news. I'm not really there for, I don't really get to go to a whole lot of the panels because I refuse to wait in line for that long. And I still have an amazing time.
Yeah.
So when I think about it, and I'm obviously a video game fan, I think just being there, there's something about just being at Comic-Con, even if you're not in it, you're just around super nerds. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So I hope that you just get it. I hope these guys, everybody who's there, if you're there to cover stuff, hopefully you get the access that you're looking for. And if you're there to have a good time, hopefully you just have a good time.
Yeah. And that's ultimately what I would say is, I just know me going in, I wouldn't want to have to cover it.
Yep.
And I tip my cap to those guys that are covering it.
Yeah, man, it's
that's
hard.
Just craziness to think that you're in these crowds, you're trying to get to places, trying to find Wi-Fi, you're trying to find a place to sit down and type something up and all. More power to you guys. That's amazing. But for me, I just look at it and go, I'm a junkie for the news. This is my Super Bowl week, pretty much. I eat up everything that's coming. I'm not a big fan of what EA does. We watched the EA conference yesterday. I didn't even know who Bethesda was a couple of years ago. Before, I really didn't. I really didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad you're honest.
I never played Skyrim. I never played Fallout. I never played any of those games. Had no idea. When they announced that they were doing the conference, I'm like, what games do they? Okay, they got Fallout. I knew of them. I didn't know them.
Sure.
All the people that ran
I
it
think
and
that
all
was
that
the
stuff.
point.
Yeah, it was
that was
the point
of them finally coming out.
And they're a big dog now, man. That's huge. And
they're a hippopotamus.
I'm not big on a lot of what Ubisoft does, but there are some things that they do that I enjoy. But I get in this is the first year in all the years of watching and following E3, I actually give a damn about what Xbox is doing. I've never cared about anything they do.
That's today, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
I'm getting chills. I'm getting a little excited.
Yeah.
They dropped the price of the Xbox. I know this is I don't have an Xbox show that I can talk about this stuff, you know.
Yeah, I know.
The Nintendo Play box we just need to just add that on there. We'll just cut the show up.
It just makes
chop it up.
Sense. It makes no sense.
Nintendo Play box?
No,
that's true. That wasn't a console that actually existed. But they chopped the price down of the Xbox One S down to $199, Bobby.
Did they really?
It's got everybody thinking that the Scorpion. Now, when people are listening to this, we'll all know what the name of the thing is and how much it costs.
I think it's going
to. But it's got everybody thinking $399.
Man, if they come in, ooh, if they come
I
in
was
at
just saying to our little
$3.99,
group chat, the margin for error is razor thin for Microsoft. I think at $3.99 people get up and cheer, and I think
yeah,
at $4.99 I think people gasp. I think they
yeah,
go like, "Ooh." I think at $3.99, now we got a game. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Now it's on.
And I think
Oof.
from the
I,
conversations that I've
I don't
had,
even think it's possible.
I don't know, man. The
And it's
conversations,
already done. That's the weird
yeah.
thing
But
about
here's the
this.
thing. There was a time, Nintendo it seems to be the only console player that would go in and would legitimately price their console to make money on the console.
Mhm.
There was a time when Sega, Sony, Xbox just put the console almost at cost, sometimes below cost, just so they can move the console and they made their money back on the games. It was a weird backwards thinking where then as years went on, especially when times got tough, they changed their philosophies because they were like, we're losing money on this and now we're not selling games. We got a problem. So they started to change their philosophies. We're in I feel we're kind of in an uptick with the economy a little bit, or at least a parallel tick. Like we're not going down. It's not hurting at the moment. Knock on wood. So with that said, they could get very aggressive because they need to be aggressive to get back some of the ground that they lost with Sony. So, and it's crazy that just one little fumble, a couple of years ago, and they're so far down the well. And it's crazy because they were like this with Sony, the two of them.
I know, and I don't want to get into that whole conversation, but I think that it's actually there are different things that Microsoft did wrong. Probably about 4 or 5 different things that they did wrong that affected people in different ways. Like for some people, it was the cost alone. That's all people needed to hear was PlayStation was cheaper.
Yeah.
Some people thought PlayStation looked better, like there was a better looking console. That would have been enough.
Yeah.
Power was the next thing. And then the online only and how that sort of exploded into nonsense because of course both consoles, by the way, when I bought them, I had to connect to the internet and get an update. I needed to be online. I need to be online all the time with those things. But anyways, Bobby, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, me too.
I am actually actively cheering for Phil Spencer and Mike Ibarra and everybody at Team Xbox. I know it's how weird is this? We are such nerds. I was on my way home last night and I was looking up at the night sky and I'm just about to come home to my wife and kid and I'm thinking, I hope Phil Spencer sleeps well tonight. What's wrong with me?
I don't know.
I'm like, he must be so nervous. I wonder if he's nervous. I hope that he's not. And I'm like, he knows everything that I want to know tomorrow. He knows it.
Yeah. I think the one thing with Phil Spencer, and I think the reason why I like him so much, is because he reminds me so much of Iwata.
Yep.
When Iwata passed away, Nintendo lost something in that. They lost their figurehead. Yes, we have Kimishima, but Kimishima is the old guard, and I said this before. It's like they forgot that the 80s and 90s and 2000s have happened all of a sudden. They travel back in time almost. I don't like that aspect with Nintendo at this moment. At least with Iwata. If they screwed up or whatever, he had the old thing please understand, but he would come to you and talk to you and say this is what happened. We need more development time. We need this. We need that. It was kind of he did those Iwata Asks where it was full on interviews with the team and explaining the development process and all this different stuff. I just was checking something out this morning and when they announced Brawl was coming to the Wii. And they announced that Smash Brawl was coming to the Wii and it was going to be online. Mm-hmm. Sakurai had no idea that they did that they were doing that. And then after it, they put Sakurai down, they sat him down and they said, look, we want to do this. We're going to do it with you or without you. If you do it, you're going to build the game from scratch and go. If you don't do it, we're going to port Melee and add online features to it. We're going to leave it the same exact game as it is and go. Sakurai started building the game, and then he had no team at all. Miyamoto came to him with this team that just finished building this other game and said, here, use these guys, they're going to start doing all the different assets and stuff while you start building your team. And it was the first time they ever did something. And Iwata came back later during the Iwata Asks and said, I never would have done this ever with anybody else. But I trusted you so much that I knew you could handle this way we processed it. And it's like, just hearing that stuff later is just amazing stories. And that's what I miss from Nintendo. You won't ever hear that stuff. Like, but
didn't they do like that 3-part story like with Zelda? Like, didn't they do like a really nice behind the scenes? Or do you think that's not like that's a little bit more put on, a little bit more like it's not as intimate?
It didn't feel as intimate. It felt like with Iwata, it was kind of like, let's sit around the table and just have a chat type thing. It was kind of like, here they are, they're having a conversation, and oh, by the way, we're just going to let you listen in so you can hear what's going on. That to me is just awesome. When it's a production, it doesn't feel as natural. You know what I mean? It feels like it's like you said, it feels like it's a put on. Not that it is, and it probably isn't. They're just trying to have higher, quality production, I guess. It just feels a little different. Where this, it's like, hey, we're like, it's you and I, and all of a sudden, like, someone just walks in and sits down.
It's almost like somebody like downloaded the conversation onto their like device.
Yeah, exactly.
And listened to it.
It's just it just has a different vibe to it, and I think that's what I liked about it. So
yeah, man.
Ultimately, that was a good time, for us. Something I want to talk about real quick, because people might have not listened to the Nintendo PlayStation podcast. So I feel like we should get some people up to speed to what's going on around here. At this moment, you might have noticed on Twitter some things starting to get announced by us. We have started a Patreon. It is patreon.com/makeusbetter. It's Sean, Toby, and myself. We are splitting everything equally the way it is. But it's more or less like there's a lot to offer. There's a lot that we're giving in terms of like, we're just trying to make things a better place, we're trying to give you guys more content. And there's little goals. Like if you guys can get us to certain levels, then we will offer this new content. There's some pretty cool stuff. Like this show would go live if we meet, the first goal is $75. So if we get to $75, this show goes live.
That's huge, man.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure how we do it. I don't even know how we do it. Like,
what do you mean you don't know how to? You know how to go live?
I don't want to go live on YouTube. I would like to do something a little better. So it might start that way, but the idea is it'll change. I like the way we record now. I like it being on Skype. I like that stuff. Who knows? Who knows how we do it? I have no idea at this point. But because I like here's what I like. I like when we put it on YouTube, the side by side. I'm not going to record it with back, forth again. I'm not going back to that. So it's like, am I able to record? Am I able to throw it up live that way? Or is it something where maybe, you would have to do something on your end to make that go live while I'm recording on this side? I don't know. We'd have to figure out all that stuff. But that's something.
It's no problem.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But that would be cool because we could have people in the live chat determine like the one of the two topics.
Yes.
Could be from. Or maybe even that's what we haven't even talked about this, but just to throw it out there, like maybe the topics are determined by Patreon supporters.
That's true too.
Maybe they put it out there too.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bobby.
But then we also have one that I think is kind of cool is We the Gamercast.
Yes,
so
I'm excited.
Yeah, if we reach the $75 mark, let me just pull this up so I don't misspeak, because if I misspeak, Sean will start yelling at me. He hasn't had coffee today, so I'm walking on pins and needles today.
Oh, get out of here. I'm a dad now, so I found new levels of patience.
Okay, that's good. But We the Gamercast will go to a video show if we reach the $75 tier, and that is to me huge, because I feel like this opens Sean up to more viewers. There's a lot of people that strictly watch on YouTube, the podcast on YouTube, and you even had people reach out to you and say, Nick from Next Level Games reached out to me the other day. Via
what the
tweets.
F, man?
Yeah. And
he's like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, why are you not doing these on...
And I do want to touch on this just for a second. I should have said this on the Nintendo PlayStation podcast as well. The main reason that it is... Actually, there's two reasons why it's not video right now. Actually, there's 3 reasons. And if I can remember all 3 by the time I get past the second one, I will tell you.
Okay.
They're done. Number 1, the guests don't always have video.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't. It's hard to, like, when Bobby and I meet every week, we know this is going to be video. This is just like, it's an agreement that we have, and
Yeah.
it's no big deal.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. The second one is the way that the show is built. I do the intro, so it would actually be like an added part to the editing, right? Of me doing the intro and then chopping that into like my conversation with the person, and that sort of thing. And actually, I built two reasons into that first one, is that sometimes people don't want to have their faces out, and then they've got video.
But you can
I
always
feel like that wasn't the third one.
You can always put a picture or a logo up or something. You can always do something.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Well,
Yeah.
actually, the third true reason was that I just really enjoyed like the focus of audio. Like, it really like doing We the Gamercast for this long, just doing audio allowed me to, I think, just kind of practice and hone my skills as an interviewer.
Yeah.
And now I feel a little bit more comfortable, like, in front of the camera and like doing the thing that we do on YouTube. I do the stupid things that people only who watch the YouTube video can see. Bringing that to We the Gamer. I'm excited, man. I'm more excited actually about the next tier.
Yeah.
But the video will be super cool.
I'll even throw some more little backstory. The first time we recorded We the Gamercast, you didn't even turn your video on.
I wasn't going to.
Yeah. I had my video on and you never kept it on. I just looked at you with this stupid NASA hat the whole time, and I'm like, wow, this is weird.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't even have a webcam at the time.
Yeah,
I didn't even have it. That's
yeah.
not that I didn't turn it on. You're right.
And I'm like,
You're right.
This is strange. This is weird. I'm talking to this guy that's in a spacesuit right now. But it was,
and that's at Disney World. That was our connection, Bobby.
Yeah.
That you didn't even know. That was at Disney World.
I didn't realize that. So the 150 tier, or goal, stretch goal, is We the Gamercast would then get a second show 2 times a month, and that would essentially bring back returning guests, which I think is huge.
Yep. It would be dedicated. I think the way that I would do it, Bobby, because I don't want to overflow the feed. I don't want people to go like, oh, I got to unsubscribe from We the Gamercast because it's too much.
Yeah.
It would be it wouldn't be exclusive to Patreon supporters. It would be available to everybody. That's the thing that we kind of talk about, was like, nothing gets locked away.
No.
People are literally like, the patreon.com/makeusbetter is literally making it better. Like, it's actually making, like, when we reach certain goals, that's when things happen. It's not when you donate, $17, it's going to be, I don't even know. Like, we're not really locking content behind it. It's we want to empower people to help us do better things. And so I think it would be a second feed, and it would be dedicated to returning guests. It would be like We the Gamercast Returns or something like that. And it would be dedicated to people like you and Joey Ferris and Dave Moore and Johnny Casino and all these people who I've had, Justin Masson, all these people I've had on before who I want to have more conversations with, but I also want to make sure that I'm continuing to have like new conversations. And like, that's the true spirit of the show. But turns out I'm meeting like amazing people who I could just sit around and chat with and do that. So who knows what could happen from there? I feel like that would just be the start. And then
and I don't want to go over everything, because we touched on it on the last podcast on Nintendo PlayStation Podcast. Just go check it out. Patreon.com/makeusbetter. Go check it out. There's stuff from me that I'm doing that's separate from you guys. One other thing that I wanted to discuss, because at this point it should be in full swing. I have started a 5-day-a-week video series, which is going to be such an undertaking on my behalf. It's called Nintendo Talks, or Nintendo Talk. It's something that I kind of did for a while, but I stopped. And I like the name. I always liked the name, but I wanted to continue doing this. More or less what it is it's every day. It's going to be a 5 to 10 minute video. I'm thinking 6 to 7 minutes is probably the sweet spot of where I want to be each week. And I will be recapping the news for the day, the Nintendo news for the day, kind of read the headlines, and then kind of break it down to what I feel about it and what I think about it. I feel like there's a lot of news outlets that I follow that are friends of ours. Joshua Ponce and all these guys, like, they're putting this content out there, and I figured it was also a way to promote their work. And also, to tell people, like, hey, this article's pulled from Nintendo Wire, or this article's pulled from Nintendo Mobile News, or this one's pulled from this or that, and then get into it a little bit and explain, like, what exactly we're reading and should we be mad about this? Shouldn't we be mad about this? Where should we be at it? And all that stuff. Like, it's going to be a lot because of the fact that, like, it's 5 days a week, man. It's a lot, you know, but I talked to the wife, and she's so behind it, and she thinks it's a great idea. I've talked to a couple people. I talked to you. I talked to Toby. I just actually talked to Alan about it this morning, and everybody thinks it's a great idea. So it's something that I want to push forward and try to do, you know, give people a little bite-sized videos. It's kind of why I bought this webcam, the new webcam, because I want it to be a little
very
bit better.
nice.
Yeah, I want it to be a little better quality. You know, so it's an idea. It's a way we're going to push forward. I did a nice new intro for it. I did that yesterday. I put that together. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes good. But at this point, hopefully there'll already be a few episodes, so you can go check those out over on youtube.com/Nintendo Guru. That would be a lot of fun. And let me know what you guys think about it, seriously, because I think it'll be just a lot of fun. There's also thoughts and talks. Been talking to Dave more. Maybe that would become a YouTube or a podcast as well. So then I would just take the audio, slap it over there, and then you get like a little bite-sized, you know, audio thing. If you don't have time for YouTube and you don't want to check out YouTube, you can have that every day. So we'll see how that goes. Real quick though, as you can tell, we don't have a whole heck of a lot to talk about in terms of topics. I have one that I want to kind of go over, but I'm not ready.
Oh, what is it, Bobby?
It's one that we didn't do last week. But
Tell me.
What do you tell you? Well, I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to go into something else.
Oh, I almost tricked you.
Yeah, you ain't gonna get me.
Never gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna get it.
EA did their conference, and that kind of kicked things off.
Oh, no.
And I feel like I wasn't floored by EA. I thought they did an okay job. There was things that they did that I liked. There's things that they did that I just thought, like, why are we looking at this? Why are we watching this? And I know people were down on them and hard on them, and a lot of that has to do with just the fact that EA is not a popular company.
That's true.
So they get a lot of hate in those terms. But I posted yesterday a couple of things, and Chris White kind of was coming at me a little bit, just questioning me on it, and I wanted to kind of just talk about it real quick. And I felt like Anthem looked amazing. Yes. I felt like Battlefront 2 looked amazing. I felt like A Way Out looked amazing.
Agreed.
And when I say amazing,
even Madden, Bobby.
Yeah,
Madden looked cool.
But I'm not talking like looks wise. I'm talking like it looked like something I wanted to play. It looked like something
that's
that I was
what I'm saying about Madden.
Madden. I mean, it looks beautiful, but I don't know that it makes me want to play it. I want to see what else it has to do.
You don't want to play the story mode thing?
No, I have no interest in that stuff. I don't.
Oh.
I hate playing that way because when you play the game, it's like, how do you play? It's not football is not a one player
Well,
game.
I feel like of all the sports, maybe football and golf are the ones that the story mode actually makes the most sense.
Golf would be the most sense to me of all of them because it's a single player game. It would be so cool to start in the lower ranks and work your way up. That would be phenomenal if they did something like that. They did this a couple of years ago. Now, everybody acts like this is all brand new and this is a whole new world. Years ago, back on the PS2, I believe it was, they did it with NASCAR. And it was, you started in the lower ranks and you started to work your way up, and you had to, like, you'd have sponsors coming and offer you deals, and, like, you would take the offer and they would give you money, and then you could buy tires and buy all these different things. That, to me, was the start of this, and it was kind of cool. Something like soccer and all that stuff, like, you're only as good as the computer that you're playing with. Like, if they don't pass you the ball, like, are you just a ball hog the whole time trying to score to get your stats up?
That's how I feel in hockey.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's not true to form. Where golf, it's a one-player game, you're playing. So when Madden does it, I'm not into it. Like, I've done the creative player stuff, all that stuff, just not my thing. But when I looked at A Way Out, I thought that was so much. It's just like a GTA type thing. It's just like everything you play, all this third division, all this. But the difference is like it's really pushed hard for couch co-op. The developer was really pushing hard for the couch co-op. I also thought, like, I was excited for the developer. Here's this guy with all this energy, man. He's so excited to be up on that stage. This is a big thing for him. And I was just like, good on you, man. Good on you. Like, this is amazing stuff for you guys. So when I look at that, I was excited for that. When I looked at Anthem, just looked really cool. I told Tony yesterday when I got off, I was like, you might enjoy this. it gave me a little Fallout type vibe, a little bit. But I told her, I said, you might really like this. I think you would be into this. Because they do a really good job with their storytelling type stuff, like with the Mass Effect games and all that. So I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with that game.
I'm going to be watching that reveal trailer a few more times. I want to sort of stay kind of like in the dark a little bit. Like, I don't really know what to make of it. Like, obviously it was gorgeous and it definitely was titillating.
Yeah.
But I want to know, they landed a spot at the Xbox conference, so I want to see that a little bit. But on A Way Out, I wonder if that's coming to Switch as well. I wonder if that would be something like that you just split the Joy-Cons off the thing, and because it's built for couch co-op.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was interesting too, where you can play online, but it's still going to be split screen.
And you're talking about A Way Out. Just I wanted to clarify because I know, but I just wanted to make sure you started. Well, I started with Anthem. And then
I jumped back to A Way Out.
But I just want to make sure people understand.
But Anthem,
A Way Out, I think would be perfect on Switch. Honestly, like even if you didn't break the Joy-Cons off, even if they did something where, because of the whole LAN aspect of it, if they were just say, hey, you have your screen, they have their screen, and you're playing on your tablet.
Yeah, we were talking about that during the show too. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they could do with it. And I think it would be, because Chelsea brought up the whole thing of like, well, we have 2 TVs. They should build this for us, so that way I don't have to split screen.
Specifically the Capri version, please.
Yeah.
Please and thank you very much. Did you see any of the stuff coming about FIFA?
I did see a lot of the stuff coming out for FIFA, and it sounds like it's. First off, the game was built from the ground up for Switch, which excites me, makes me happy that they took the time to do this. It's not a 360 port as Colin Moriarty had originally announced back in the whole thing, and like a lot of people jumped on it and was like, oh, this is just going to be a port from whatever dumbed down version they have. It's not. I saw Zach Erickson tweet something yesterday that like even the career mode is in there, they just don't have the cutscenes in it. Which, hey man, you know what I mean? Like, you got to expect something to go with this if it's on this thing. We all know the Switch is lesser than the PS4 and the Xbox One. You cannot expect every single thing to be up to snuff. We knew that when we bought the thing. We knew we were going to get some downgraded versions of this. This to me sounds like a good thing. Like, if this is the version you're going to buy, it sounds like, hey, we're not taking that much away from you. We're taking a little bit, no big deal, enjoy it. You know, if it's something where, hey, they put an image on the screen and it's not animated or whatever, like, I don't care. It is what it is. As long as they give us the best foot forward. If they're trying to do the best they can, I'm curious to see what it looks like, what it plays like, and how
I'm just kind of scanning through this interview on Eurogamer.net and going through a couple of things, and there's no fancy name for the engine. There's no Ignite, which was the previous generation. There's no Frostbite. They say it's a custom-built engine. Yeah. But the thing I think is really cool here is the interviewer says FIFA has to be 60 frames per second. Is it on Switch? And they say it is 100%. With 60 frames per second, you wouldn't be able to enjoy the game.
Wow.
60 frames per second.
That's
sports game built for a Nintendo system. This is
awesome.
Like, can we focus on, like, that's buried in this as well. Like, it's talking about all the things that, like, it doesn't have. But, like, this is what people want. If you want 60 frames per second sports game, it looks gorgeous on the go, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, I personally don't know where I will end up playing these games there, because there is such a strong connection for me with sports games and my Xbox. EA Access they've locked me in on that front.
Yeah.
But I mean, so it's only from that perspective that I don't know that I'll be playing FIFA on Switch. But if that weren't the case, it's not from the PlayStation has the Journey, but the Switch doesn't. I'd be all over this if I wasn't already sort of entrenched. It's just this is a sad case of Nintendo being a little late to the relationship, but it's a start, man. This is a really positive thing.
Yes,
super positive.
And for me, I'm not entrenched in those. And for me, I look at it and go, I have a PS4. I'm looking at an Xbox One. Do I buy this on Switch? It's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer for me that I'm buying it on Switch. I've already pre-ordered it. I'm getting it. You know what I mean? Like, for me, and I'm not a huge soccer fan. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my thing. But I definitely want to get into this. I want to support EA. I want to show them, like, hey, thank you for doing this for us. I want to show support to them. I'm trying to show support to a lot of third parties. I'm trying to push that way. And I thought of an idea. I think that Nintendo should change the way they call third parties. I don't think they should call them third parties anymore.
If we ran Nintendo, what would you call them?
If we ran Nintendo, I would call them nerd parties. And I would do it N3RD. Because they called Nindies, they called the indie developers Nindies.
That's hilarious.
I was like,
okay. I was making a face
coining
that
the
you
phrase,
didn't like it at first.
nerd parties. That's what it is. It should. I think it'd be kind of funny if they did that. I'm sure people would get upset, but whatever. It is what it is.
But I like the idea of even calling them something like Nindies, as like branding the Nindies. I think is a good idea, and I think Xbox and PlayStation have tried to do that. Like they've got the ID at Xbox program. Like there's a thing there, but like nobody's really connected with that. That's sort of a, I don't know. It seems like a jargony, technical type of name that is I don't know.
I'm telling you, nerd party is going to be a thing.
Nerd parties. I want to have a nerd party. Can we have a nerd party one day, Bobby?
We had a nerd party yesterday. We're going to have a nerd party today. Today's going to be a good nerd party. So,
That's why I don't want to overdo the coffee right now, because I'm going to be up for it. Devolver is like, way past your bedtime. It's into like Wednesday for Seamus. I don't even know how that works.
For what? Devolver?
Devolver Digital. They're doing a thing like at like midnight or something.
Was that PC?
I think it's like 2 a.m. for you.
Yeah, no, I don't care about that.
No, they're like a publisher of a whole bunch of indie games like Hotline Miami and stuff like that.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
You should go to their site and just like see all the games that pop up. I think you'd really like it. Actually,
yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
There's a ton of stuff there, and they've had kind of a weird road to E3. And again, this will all be done by the time people listen to this. So we'll see how.
And that's fine because I'm not going to watch Bethesda either, and I'm very interested in what Bethesda shows.
What? Oh, because it's late as well.
That's midnight for me, so that's just too. I'll be asleep. It depends. I might. You know what? I might go to sleep, take a nap, wake up, and watch it. Who knows?
Do it, Bobby.
I might. Maybe when the Xbox One gets
we'll
up.
Stream it. I like that we're planning this.
Don't tempt
but
me,
it's in the
man.
past. We'll get in your pajamas. We'll both be in our Mario pajamas.
I might do it.
So here's the number one reason people should tune into the Nintendo PlayStation podcast, by the way. Number one reason. There's no other reason other than this. Bobby slipped up and he said Mario correctly.
Oh, Jesus.
So go subscribe.
I say it both ways, man. I say it both ways.
Bobby goes both ways with Mario.
I definitely... If we ran Nintendo...
Yahoo!
Would we put out any more classic editions, or will we just move on from it? And
yes, that is all. Thank you for listening to us on Day Space.
My idea behind this was because I listened to Nintendo Dads, and I hear Justin Masson, and I also heard Zach Erickson a few weeks before talking about that they would put out a cartridge of the NES Classic with all the games built onto it and all that stuff. At first, I thought it was a good idea. And I feel like you're continually rubbing salt in the wounds of people that didn't get it to some degree.
Painful.
For me, and it's going to be a little controversial. I would just get away from it. I would stop doing these things. It's not either do it right or don't do it at all. And I don't feel like they do it right at all. I would honestly, if I ran Nintendo, I would do them, but I would not personally do them. I would outsource it to another company to do them and just go with it and have a good time with it and just make it go. I feel like because there's such a rumor right now of the Super Nintendo one coming, and it's been the rage and people are talking about it, and we're kind of, could it be that Nintendo announces it here at E3 and then we get it in the fall? I just feel like they're not going to do it right. And they're not going to do it justice. And I feel like in Nintendo's situation, you're just creating bad blood with the fan base. Move away from it. I get where their idea was when Reggie did the interview and he talked about how this wasn't for you and I. You and I own Mario on 60 different consoles. Whatever. But
the number just keeps going up.
It gets bigger and bigger.
I own Mario 3 413 times.
I realized today, like I bought this Retron HD, right? I have 2 copies of the original Mario Brothers. 2 of them here. Like
Mario Brothers?
Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did I say, Mario?
Yeah.
Mario. Whatever, man. Stop it. So I have 2 copies of it. You know what I mean? It's like, and then I own it on the 3DS. I own it on the Wii U. I owned it on the Wii. I own it on my NES Classic. It's like, this NES Classic wasn't made for us, and all it did was it made the Nintendo faithful go crazy for it, want it, and then it didn't hit the shelves like it should have. Should have been all over the place. Like, I should be able to walk into a Walgreens right now, and there'd be a tower of them sitting there. As you're walking by, you go, oh, you know what? I'm going to grab one of those. I remember having this as, you know what I mean? And that's ultimately, I think, what they wanted. They just fell so short from it. And I don't feel like if they do the Super Nintendo one, because I feel like the Super Nintendo one is going to be even more sought after.
Guaranteed.
Like, that's the granddaddy, man. Like, that's the one that everybody wants. And I don't think they're going to do it right. I think it's going to be worse than the Amiibo craze. It's going to be worse than the NES Classic.
God, we've been hurt, Bobby, by Nintendo. When we start saying things like that, we're just like, don't even release that sure to sell.
Yeah.
Like, this is a no-brainer for them. Like, don't do it because it'll be worse.
You're gonna get people mad. And it's like, I don't know if you saw, but Sega just, I think it's At Games. At Games is making a Sega Genesis. And
but then you have to have a Sega Genesis.
No. But I'm saying, At Games, Sega went to At Games and said, manufacture this for us. Mm-hmm. And it's a different thing. It's the same thing. It's a plug and play. But I think you can also upgrade it to add games to it later on and all this different stuff. Like, that's what you should have done. Like, I understand the idea and the concept behind it, but they dropped the ball. Focus on the Switch. My thing would be, again, if we ran Nintendo, as Nintendo, I would not handle this at all. I would not do it. I would find a company that's capable of doing it and say, go. We'll take a percentage of the money. We're happy. We're getting a little bit of revenue off of this. It's making fans happy. And by the way, you know, we're pushing the Switch narrative. Like, that's where, because that's the other thing. I feel like their main function needs to be focused on the Switch, the virtual console, all that stuff. They're not, and I think it detracts from the ultimate plan, you know. And anything you could do to keep fans happy, you need to do, and you need to keep them off the another reason to be mad at you type thing.
Maybe they should put something on the box. They should release the SNES Classic and say, if you're a Nintendo fan, don't buy this.
Yeah.
Let it on the shelf so that everybody can buy it.
Because we're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. Yeah, we're not going to make enough for you to get it. So.
Exactly. Here's what I would do, Bobby. Since you asked.
Okay.
My main thing that I think. Well, I mean, obviously, they should have created more. They should have manufactured more of the NES Classics. That's a given. But the thing that was really missing for me, and I feel like was very briefly misreported, was that there was going to be a connection to the internet.
Yeah.
And not even for the idea of like buying more games. I'm not sure that is necessarily the plan. But even, no, I'm going to throw that in there as well. We should be able to expand these libraries as well.
Yeah.
There should be a super cheap portal in to buy these old games. But I would like them to sort of have, when you buy the SNES Classic, link up your My Nintendo account. Now you own those games, so that when you like go to buy your Switch, or if you already have your Switch, it unlocks all these games that you can play on the way. And the reason that I say that is because there has to be like the reason that this thing existed was to remind people that maybe who have fallen off is that, you know, that they love Nintendo. Like, oh yeah, Nintendo's great. And oh, by the way, there's a Switch. But there's the Nintendo Switch. But I think that there's too big of a gap between that system and then determining on their own to go buy this $300 this system. They need a way that sort of like more naturally pulls them towards the Switch. And I think that a built-in feature like, you know, connect your My Nintendo account, some form of communication to the person, whether it's through like updates, or maybe when you do sign in with your My Nintendo account, you get emails. Like, they need some sort of like conversion strategy. Right now, it's just like remind people that Nintendo exists, and then on their own, they're going to go decide to go buy it. It's no different than passing a billboard on the street. Like, yes, I know that that's a thing, but like that's not really, there's no conversation there. And there needs to be a way for Nintendo to engage with customers and having that online connection. I feel like I'm talking to somebody in like the 2000s, like use the internet to interact with your customer. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that there's an opportunity there to do that with the SNES Classic, but I don't know, man. It is a double-edged sword, because what if people get that and that's all they want?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what if they're satisfied with their Nintendo. Like, what if that's their Nintendo purchase?
Yeah, I agree.
So it is that could be another reason they limited the number of units that were out there, is because for a lot of people to be like, yep, I'm good. This is my Nintendo. This is what I've always known. I don't need anything more.
Yeah.
So that's a danger too.
Yeah, it's definitely a danger. It's you put yourself in. You just ultimately they're just. I think they put themselves in a bad position, and what was supposed to be this nice thing.
That sucks too, man. Like, it's supposed to be good, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a nice thing for Christmas. You know, it was supposed to be like I listened to, obviously I listened to Warp Whistle, and I listened to them guys where it was such a disaster for them to get their hands on one, and the ultimate thing was their mother wanted to get one for their dad, and that's ultimately what it was made for, and they couldn't even find one. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be where, hey, you used to play this with your kids. Like, maybe you want to play it again. Like, here you go. It's an easy way for you to play. It's an easy way to grab it and go. And it's like, they totally dropped the ball, man. And
I'm disheartened by how, obviously we talked about this before, but like the scalper mentality is so prevalent. And like I was actually talking last night with I was out with some friends, and we were talking about the NES Classic because one of the guys had one, and he was saying how much he liked it. And then another guy went like, weren't those things selling for like a couple $100? And then I think we were talking, it went all the way up to like $1,000 and all the crazy stories that happened. He's like, man, I should really have gotten in on that action. It's like, no, dude, because like I sort of had to jump in to sort of say that exact story of like, this was for people who like wanted to buy it for their kids, or for like, you realize that you're taking that away from people, and they're like, oh, I never thought about it like that. And it's like, come on, man.
Well, here's the thing.
You gotta educate everybody around your body.
But I think the problem, what Nintendo did ultimately, is they screwed people if they do make a Super Nintendo one. Because here's what happens.
Yeah, you're right.
We know they're going to blow out the doors right away. And we know that the scalpers are going to eat them up, right? Now, you got this guy or girl, whoever, that wanted this thing, that wanted the NES Classic and couldn't get it, and then realized, you know what, I better buy it now while the scalpers' prices are kind of low before the end of the cycle and it goes up. Because Nintendo pulled the plug on it so quickly, and don't get me wrong, they made more than they originally expected to do. They only expected to do, like, I think 1 million units. They wound up doing, like, 1.6 million or something like that. Like, they pushed production a little further.
I think it was 2+, man. I think it was like upwards of 3 million units. It was not a small number.
But they should have just, once that hits and they realize these things are selling, unless they're not making money on them, unless it's like a bare minimum and it's,
Yeah, that's true. That could be a reason as well.
Who knows the actual, the reasonings behind what they did, but I think what happens moving forward is the scalpers go after these things, the Super Nintendo ones that come out, and now they have people by the balls. Like, I know a woman who contacted me, and she's like, I bought this for $300. And I'm like, why? It's $60. She's like, because I couldn't find them, and I wanted to get one for my son for Christmas. And I was like, God, that hurts so bad to hear you say that. Like, it really crushes me to hear you say that. Because if you would have told me, I would have helped you. Because me and Tony were helping people we knew, and we're getting them for them. And I listened to, like, Josh Stapleton. He was doing the same thing, and he was trying to help people, and he was finding them and stuff. And it's, like, such heartache to hear people.
I mean, aside from don't support scalpers, there's another really good reason to have not paid any more than $60 for that thing. That cord is inexcusable. Yes. If I ran Nintendo, the Super Nintendo Classic would have the same length of cord from the original. That is a disaster what you're holding up in front of me right now. That is a joke.
The only reason it works for me is because the TV is right there. That's the only reason it works for me. When I originally had it set up to go to the big TV, I literally played it for 2 hours, unplugged it, packed it back in the box, and put it on the shelf.
Yep.
And I was done. That was it.
In a world where we're talking about, the difference between 50 frames per second and 60 frames per second, and that's going to be the end or beginning of a game, and we play and buy this, it's garbage. It's trash. Jacob Rush should be the one also on here calling it trash because he's adopting your vernacular. Trash, garbage, heaping piles of...
It was a mistake. It was definitely a misstep.
Bobby poop.
If it wasn't, again, like you and I had the conversation, you talked about, like, I want to get one to put it on my desk. And that's when it, boom, I was like, there it is. That makes, and I hooked it up to this little TV that sits here, and I'm like, then it was perfect. I love playing it that way. But yeah, it's not, I think
I hope Nintendo has a strategy to sort of bite the scalpers in the butt a little bit. Maybe they put out like a small shipment right at the beginning. All the scalpers eat it up, and then they flood the market with a whole bunch, or they have like a direct from Nintendo purchase style. Buy it from them.
I was showing Toby yesterday because I bought the Retron HD. This cord here, this is only half the cord. I got it all tied up. The rest of it's
wow, look at that.
Yeah, like it's huge.
That's
the cord's a regular NES, and not to mention, I can plug in a regular NES controller to this thing. I don't have to use the Retron one that comes with it. So it's like, that one's a better setup, ultimately. But the problem is it doesn't come preloaded with anything. You know. But I think that, Nintendo dropped the ball with the NES one. And I think that if they did the SNES, that's what makes me go, guys, if you haven't learned your lesson from this, don't do it at all. That's the only way that I say you do it. Is if you do it, if you learn your lesson. But I think ultimately their focus needs to be on Switch, not these little plug-and-play things. Like, that's not where... You do that stuff when you're Sega and your company's out of business. And you need to... You know what I mean? Like, that's what you do. Like, you don't do that stuff for a company like Nintendo. Like, you have a future, man. Focus on your future, not your past. Your past should be focused on when you're talking about the Virtual Console, not new products. That's my take. That's my feeling. Mm-hmm. Like, ultimately, you want to just put some more stuff out there. This was a Christmas item. That's all it was. It was because they had nothing else to offer. They had no games. They had nothing. And this was like, hey, here's a little gap fill. This will get people's minds off of that Nintendo doesn't exist. It does exist. Here it is. Total backfire plan.
I would say to Nintendo what teachers used to say to me growing up. You know, you got a lot of potential, but like you really need to apply yourself. And I'm like, but why? Yeah. Like, if I just put out 3 million units, people will buy them anyways. Like, whatever. Yeah. I mean, it seems to work for them, and it seemed to work fairly well for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Here I am in a super successful podcast with Bobby the Nintendo Guru.
Super successful? Let's not get crazy.
Super duper. We have our own Patreon. That's patreon.com/makeusbetter.
Yes. That is all.
Amazing, Bobby. Aw.
Thank you guys for listening to us. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for following us. All that stuff. You can check us out, dayspace.com. Please go over there. Check out all the slew of podcasts. We have so many more coming to that little community, man, that little network that we have going on. It's amazing to see. Warp Whistle Podcast apparently is coming over. Nintendo Nostalgia is coming over. Life of Gaming. Xbox
if you like
Dive.
Us, you'll like all these other guys because we like all these other guys.
These guys are amazing. You know
all
of them are amazing.
And if any girls, by the way, it's a bit of a sausage fest over at Dayspace right now. Can we get some females in this junk? Wait, that didn't sound right.
We need to get you're the connection.
I know. I need to. There's only a few that came to mind, but I don't think that they're doing anything anymore. We need to do that. Yeah. We need to get some women on board.
Yeah. Well, we need to go to Phoenix Overdrive and get Lee and with Rebecca.
That would work.
Get them over. You
know that would work.
Like, that's another step we need to take. But
for now, like I'll shake my boobies around for everybody if you want a little action.
I'm a little bigger than you.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Check us out on WeTheNerdy.com. Andrew is doing amazing work over there, man. Please go over there. Sean has a review up of
I have a review of Cave Story. Yes.
For the Switch. Go check that out. Go read it.
Very good.
Very
it's
good
too
stuff.
Hard for Johnny Casino, though. Everybody else will have a great time with it. Johnny Casino is too hard for you, man. I'm sorry.
He's just
85 out of 100.
Yeah, he's
very, very good.
He's not a good gamer. He doesn't. Just kidding, Johnny. I'm just messing with you.
But Justin Maston and Zach Erickson, very good gamers. They will enjoy it very much.
There you go. That's
are you pre-ordering it? You got the retail version coming, don't you?
I didn't pre-order it yet. I didn't know.
Get it, Bobby.
I will. Listen,
check out that retail thing. It's got the soundtrack in there.
Oh, really?
It's got a big old manual. Remember Rebirth, Afterbirth? What the hell is it? Binding of Isaac.
Yeah.
Same thing, same idea. All the stuff like it's a fan servicey type of retail package, and I actually wish like we got a digital review copy, but I wish that we got a retail copy. Very, very good.
That would be awesome.
It won me over.
The one I'm looking.
All right, you're closing out the show. Sorry.
Yeah, I got to close out the show. I'm over here trying to pre-order, and I can't do that.
Don't listen to me that literally.
Follow us on Twitter. If we ran Nintendo. Follow Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Follow me at Nintendo Gurus. Go check us out on patreon.com/makeusbetter. That is all. Peace out, Cub Scout.
Bye, Cub Scouts. You guys rule. I will see you next time on the podcast. Bobby. That was new.
That was it was
something else, hey?
It was something, man.
Let's announce our Patreon, and then I'll do some stupid garbage for the end of it. Please support us. Please. God.
Oh, God. You just gave him a reason to, I guess. Ugh.
I have an elastic band for Bobby.